Hello, so welcome to week 2 of the Ray of Hope crochet along. So last week we finished our first 8 rows and we're going to carry on working into this. So we're going to start today and we're going to be slip stitching, or joining into the slip stitch after the chain 5. So that's the chain 5 that goes behind your shells. And that's that stitch here. So I'll push my hook through there and just pull my yarn through like that. Okay. So now we're going to go into the stitch above the spike stitch. So right in here. So you should have 5 stitches going across here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not counting the slip stitches at either end. So we're going to skip the next 2 stitches. That third stitch, which is the stitch above that spike stitch there, we're going to make 9 double crochet. So we're going to make another shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just grab some more yarn. And last double crochet, number 9. Okay, so another shell stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch into the slip stitch before the next chain 5. So we skipped the 2 stitches after completely and then just slip stitch into that slip stitch, and then we're going to chain 5. And then we continue with the same pattern. So I'm going to slip stitch again into the slip stitch after the chain 5. That chain again goes behind the shell we made previously, so they both sit behind there. Then we're going to skip the next 2 stitches. So we go into the third one, that's above the spike stitch, and make another 9 double crochet. And we carried this pattern on the whole way around. So 9 double crochet in the same stitch, then slip stitch into the slip stitch. Okay, so we skip these 2 stitches here and slip stitch into there once we finish our shell. Chain 5 and slip stitch into the slip stitch, and repeat all the way around. So I'm going to carry on with this and I shall see you when I get to the end of the round. Okay, so I've gotten to the end of the round, I've done my last chain 5 and I'm going to slip stitch back into the same slip stitch we started with. Oops. There we go. So that's that round complete. That's round 9. So now we can cut off this colour, as we won't be needing this again for a while. Just pull my hook out, and there we go. So round 10, I'm going to join my next colour, and we're going back to the orange that we started with. Okay, and we're going to join into the chain 5 from round 8. So that's the one that's behind the shells. So we're going to join that with a standing half double crochet. So I'm going to wrap the yarn around my fingers, hook under, pull through, and do a yarn over before joining as a half double crochet. I'm just going to pop a stitch marker in there. Okay, so now we're joined with the standing half double crochet. I'm going to make another 4 half double crochet around the same chain. 2, 3, 4. Oops, marker's coming loose, sorry. Right, so now in the first double crochet of this shell here, okay, we're going to do a back post single crochet. So we're going to go around the back, and do a single crochet, just like that. Okay, and now we're going to do a back post half double crochet in the next double crochet. So you'll get these pops of colour coming through the shell. And I'm going to chain 3. This chain 3 will sit behind the shell. And I'm going to skip all these double crochet until the last 2 of the shell. And then I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to do a half double back post stitch. And then around that last double crochet of the shell, we'll do a single crochet back post stitch. So you get these little pops of colour coming through. Okay, and now we're going to make 5 half double crochet around that chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and then we're going to repeat. So around the first double crochet of the shell, we make a back post single crochet. Around the next double crochet, we make a back post half double crochet, then chain 3, then we're going to skip the double crochet apart from the last 2. For the second to last one, we'll make the back post half double crochet again. Around the last one, we make the back post single crochet, and then in that chain 5 from 2 rows below, we make 5 half double crochet, and then we repeat this pattern all the way around. So I'm going to continue with that, and I shall see you in a moment. Okay, I finished that round, and now I'm going to slip stitch into our first standing stitch. I'll just pull that tail towards the back. Okay, so now in that same stitch I'm going to make alternate turning chain. So this counts as your first double crochet. If you've not seen this type of turning chain before, there is a link in the description of this video to see how you can do it. But it's just a turning chain, so you can also chain 3 if you'd prefer, and that will count as just the same. So now we're going to double crochet in each stitch round. Okay. Just make sure we catch all the stitches. Okay. It can be easy to miss those 2 back post stitches. especially this one. So make sure you get that before we work into the chain space. Okay, and then into this chain 3 space we're going to make 5 double crochet. Three, 4, and 5. And then we're going to double crochet in each of the stitches again. So we'll carry this on all the way around, and I shall see you when I get to the end. Okay, so in the same stitch as our slip stitch, I'm going to make the alternate turnings chain. But this is going to count as a half double crochet. In the next 2 stitches we're going to double crochet. In the next stitch, which is in line with the middle of the shell down here, in this one we're going to make 3 double crochet, all in the same stitch. 1, 2, and 3. In the next 2 stitches we're going to double crochet in each of those, and the second. And then the next 2 stitches we're going to half double crochet. 1 and 2. Okay, so now we've got the stitches that have been made into the chain space, and each of those stitches we're going to make a single crochet. So that's a single crochet in the next 5 stitches. 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the pattern around the rest of the round is half double crochet in the next 2 stitches, make a double crochet in the next 2, in the next stitch, which lines up with the middle of the shell down here, make 3 double crochet in the same stitch. 1, 2, 3. Make a double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. And then half double crochet in the next 2. 2, and then single crochet, sorry, in the next 5 stitches. 3, 4, and 5. We continue that pattern all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to carry on with that, and I shall see you in a moment when I get to the end of the round. Okay, so I've got to the end of that round, and I've slip stitched into my first stitch. Now in that same stitch I'm going to make the alternate turning chain, and this is going to count as our first half double crochet. Pop that in there. So now I'm going to half double crochet in each stitch until I get to that set of 3 that we did in the same stitch in the previous round. So it's these 3 here, the 3 double crochet. And when we get to the middle one of the group, so that's my next stitch here, so that's the middle one of the 3, I'm going to make 2 half double crochet. There we go. And now I'm going to half double crochet in the next 7 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and last one, 7. And now I'm going to make 2 half double crochet in this next stitch. And then half double crochet in the next 7 stitches. Three, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, and that brings us round to that middle stitch of that group again, where we're going to make the 2 half double crochet. So we carry that on all the way round, so it's 2 half double crochet into that middle of that group of 3 in the previous round, half double crochet in the next 7 stitches, to make 2 half double crochet in the next stitch, then half double crochet in the next 7, and keep on that pattern until you get all the way around. So I'm going to finish that, and I shall see you in a moment. Okay, so I've completed round 13, and I slip stitched back into the first stitch, which was our alternate turning chain, and I've cut off. Okay, so although we're going to be carrying on in the same colour, this next round is going to be worked in the 3rd loop of our half double crochets. So every half double crochet has 3 loops. We have our front loop, we've got this back loop here, which are our normal 2 loops we would normal crochet into. There's a 3rd loop, which is back here, and we're going to be using this loop for this whole round. So what we want to do is join with a standing half double crochet in that loop right at the back. And you can just see this little ridge of them back here. So I'm going to just get my standing half double crochet ready, and I'm going to join into the half double crochet where we've got these 2 in the same stitch, and I'm going to join back in the first one of those. So 1, 2, there. I'll just pop a stitch marker in. Don't worry about these loops coming up high. Once we've gone through the whole round, they will tighten up. And we're just going to work a half double crochet into each of them. Sorry, that's not what I'm doing. So we've got the half double crochet into that first one of the 2. Okay, and in the same stitch we're going to make a second half double crochet. Okay, and then we're going to make a half double crochet in the next stitch. So after the 2 in the same stitch, we're going to make 8 half double crochet. So that's 1 half double crochet in each of the next 8 stitches. And that should bring us to the next set of 2 half double crochet in the same stitch. So number 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So bringing that forward, you can see our next stitch is the first one of the 2 in the same stitch, and we're going to make 2 half double crochet in that stitch. And then we're going to carry on and do another 8 half double crochet. So that's the pattern round for this one. Do a half double crochet in 8 stitches, then do 2 half double crochet in the next stitch, which should be the first stitch of the 2 half double crochet in one. So there, it should line up there. So I'm going to carry on with that, and I shall see you when we get to the end of the round. Okay, so I finished that round and I've joined into the first stitch with a slip stitch, and I'm now going to join a new colour. Okay, so I'm going to join again in that first stitch with the 2 half double crochet in the same stitch, and I'm going to join in that back loop again with a standing half double crochet. I'll just get that on again. Around there and into that third loop. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing again. So we're going to make another half double crochet in that same stitch, and then we're going to make a half double crochet in the next 9 stitches. Okay, so we're going to do 9 stitches of half double crochet in the third loop, and then we'll make 2 half double crochet in the same stitch, then another half double crochet in the next 9 stitches, and then 2 half double crochet in the same stitch, and we're going to do that all the way around. And can you see this lovely ridging that's popping up? That's the camel stitch. So I did this in the 50 stitches crochet along in rows. When you do it in rounds, it looks different. It just comes up with this lovely ridging. We're going to be doing one more round of this after this row. So I'm going to carry on with this round even, and I shall see you when I get back to the beginning. Okay, so I'm back to the beginning of the round, and I've just slip stitched into our first stitch. So I'm going to change colours, so I'm just going to cut that off and pull that out, and I'm now going to get my next colour, and we're going to do the same again. So we're just repeating the previous rounds. So I'm going to join with a standing half double crochet, and I'm going to join into that first half double crochet where you got 2 in the same stitch into that third loop at the back. There. Make another half double crochet in the same stitch. Okay, so in this round we have 10 half double crochet between each 2 in 1 stitch, and we're just going to go around exactly the same way as before. So your 2 half double crochet in the same stitch should be in, it should always fall in that first stitch of the 2 in the row below, and then you've just got 1 half double crochet in each stitch in the 10 stitches between. Okay, so I'm going to carry on with that, and I shall see you when I get to the end of the round. Okay, so I've got to the end of that round, and I've slip stitched back into our standing half double crochet we started with. Okay, so next we're going to just slip stitch into that first half double crochet of the 2, which is our standing half double crochet, and then we're going to slip stitch across into that second half double crochet. Okay, so now we're going to chain 2. Now that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, it's just going to get this row started, and I'm carrying on with the same colour as well. Okay, so now we're going to puff stitch. So yarn over, and in the next stitch insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, into your hook, pull up a loop. Okay, so you want to pull it up as high as that chain 2 we had before. Then yarn over, back into the same stitch for the third time, yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook, and then we're going to chain 2. Okay, now we're still working in the same stitch, and we're going to make another puff stitch exactly the same way. So it's insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop 3 times. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, and chain 2. Right, and then still in the same stitch, we're going to puff again. So 1, 2, 3, pull up 3 times, 7 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, and this time just chain 1. So we've got 3 puff stitches in the same stitch. So we're going to skip the next stitch, which is there, and we're going to double crochet in the next 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, small yarn, 6, 7, 8, and last one, and 9. Okay, so we've got a puff, and then skip a stitch, and then 9 double crochet, and then we're going to skip the next stitch, and then the stitch after that we're going to repeat. So we're going to make a puff, pull through all 7 loops on your hook, chain 2, in the same stitch, another puff, pull through all 7 loops on your hook, chain 2, and still in the same stitch make your third puff. Remember, you yarn over every time you come up and pull up a loop, and pull through all 7 loops on your hook, but after the third puff you only chain 1. I'm going to skip the next stitch there and then make 9 double crochet, and we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. So I'm going to carry on with this, and I shall see you when I get to the end of the round. Okay, so I've reached the end of round 17, and remember that first chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, so we're going to slip stitch into the top of the puff stitch. Okay, so now we're going to slip stitch into the chain space, slip stitch into the top of that next puff, slip stitch into the next chain space, slip stitch into the puff, and finally slip stitch into that first double crochet. And this is our starting point for round 18. Okay, so now I'm going to make, in that top of that double crochet which I slip stitched into, I'm going to make the alternate turning chain. Okay, and I'll just pop a stitch marker in there. Okay, and I'm going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. So now we're going to skip the next stitch, and in the stitch after that we're going to make our 3 puffs in 1 stitch again. Exactly the same way as the previous round. 7 loops on your hook, pull through, and then chain 2. So yarn over into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and last time yarn over into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through all 7 loops on your hook, chain 2, and into the same stitch we make the third puff. 1, 2, 3 loops pulled up, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, and because it's the last puff, chain 1. We're going to skip the next stitch and double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 2 and 3. Okay. So now we come to these next puffs. So what we're going to do with these is we're going to front post double crochet around each of the top of the puffs. So yarn over, go around top of the puff, right to left, so just push your hook around the back. Make sure your yarn is covering the top of the puff. Yarn over and pull through, and double crochet. And that just makes these puffs really stand out nicely. Okay, and then we're going to double crochet around the next puff. So just completely ignore the chain spaces. And then third front post double crochet around the next one. And that really makes those puffs just stand out. If you look at this one, it's really quite flat. The one we just done, those puffs are now standing up. So it makes a really nice effect. Okay, so then we're going to double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2 and 3. And that's the repeat for the row. So I'll skip the next stitch. We're going to do our 3 puffs in the next stitch, skip the next one, 3 double crochet, front post double crochet around each of those puffs, ignore the chain spaces, just 3 front post double crochet one after the other, then 3 double crochet, and then we start the sequence again all the way around. So I'm going to carry on with that, and I shall see you when I get to the end of the round. Okay, so I've reached the end of round 18 and I've slip stitched into our beginning stitch. So now I'm going to chain 1 and make the alternate turning chain in that same stitch. Pop a stitch marker in there. And now I'm going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. Okay, so now we get to our puff stitches, and we're going to do a front post single crochet around each one. So around the post, bring your yarn up and single crochet, chain 1, around the next post and single crochet, chain 1, and then go around the post, yarn over to the front, pull through and single crochet. Okay. And then in the next 4 stitches we're going to double crochet. So 1, 2, more yarn, 3 and 4. Okay, so that 4th one brings you to that front post stitch above the first puff, 2 rows below. And now in the next stitch we're going to make 3 double crochet in the same stitch. 1, 2 and 3. Okay, and after your 3 double crochet in the same stitch, you're going to make a double crochet in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, and that brings us round to our puff stitches again. Okay, so our pattern for the whole round is 4 double crochet, then when you get to your puff stitches, do a front post single crochet, chain 1, front post single crochet, chain 1, front post single crochet around those puffs, then double crochet in the next 4 stitches. That last double crochet will be in that front post stitch that goes round the puff from 2 rows below. Above that middle puff from 2 rows below, you make 3 double crochet in the same stitch, then 4 double crochet, and then repeat round again. So I'm going to carry on with that, and I shall see you when I get round to the beginning of the row again. Okay, so I've just done my last 3 double crochet in the same stitch, and then I've got 1 stitch left, which is a double crochet, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the alternate turning chain that we started with. And then that is the end of round 19 and the end of week 2. So thank you for joining me for this week's, and I shall see you next week for part 3. Bye for now. So I've just done my last 3 double crochet in the same stitch, and then I've got 1 stitch left, which is a double crochet, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the alternate turning chain that we started with. And then that is the end of round 19 and the end of week 2. So thank you for joining me for this week's, and I shall see you next week for part 3. Bye for now.